Thank you, Ceann Comhairle. Taoiseach, an issue has arisen following the liquidation of IBRC for the credit union movement in Ireland. A number of credit unions had fixed-term deposits with IBRC, deposits which were due to be repaid in September of this year. Now, as a result of the decision to liquidate the IBRC, many credit unions, or quite a number of credit unions concerned, will suffer huge losses as a result. Sources within the credit union movement are saying that the losses could be as high as 17 million for credit unions across the country, which is an incredible situation if that indeed is the case. Now, what I want to ask you, Taoiseach, because we were told that there was quite a lot of work went into the preparation of this legislation some time ago, were you aware of the level of implications for the credit union movement? Were you aware that there would be this consequence for credit unions as a result of your decision to liquidate the IBRC? And Taoiseach, you might say to me, why did you not consider making special provision for credit unions when you were taking this decision and preparing for this decision? Because the losses that are involved here will at a minimum certainly wipe out any shareholder dividends that members of credit unions could have anticipated and expected in 2013 and 2014, and worse, unfortunately, may have an impact on the stability of some of the credit unions concerned. So I would ask you, Taoiseach, if you could clarify the situation and what you intend to do, because you did promise before the election to burn bondholders, senior bank bondholders, which didn't happen. You didn't do that.
Thank you.
And now we're in a situation where credit unions, the banks of the ordinary people, had essentially been burdened as a direct consequence of the decision that you took. And it seems that this is the only instance in the Eurozone to date where depositors have taken a direct hit as a result of this particular decision to liquidate IBRC in the manner that you so decided to do. I think it's wrong, Taoiseach, and I think something should be done about it.
Well, as Deputy Martin is aware, this is a liquidation, and clearly the liquidator is now examining all of the issues that arise following the liquidation of IBRC. You're aware that 15 billion worth of bondholders have been burned already. Normal deposits are guaranteed here. It's impossible to distinguish between guaranteed and unguaranteed. And the situation, of course, is that the liquidator has got to find out the facts of what's involved here. And in regard to credit unions, I'm not aware at this time as to what the extent of deposits lodged by any credit unions were in IBRC. Clearly, the examination of the liquidator will bring that to light in due course. The question of what the extent of that liability might be or not remains to be seen. And if that's the case, that's a matter that's got to be examined in respect of any funding that might be available for credit unions. But it's impossible to distinguish between depositors here. Normal deposits are guaranteed, but I can't tell you at this stage to what extent, if any, credit unions have been involved here.
I find it incredible, Taoiseach, that you are saying you're not aware of the implications of this for credit unions, that you don't know. I mean, we are told this legislation was prepared as far back as November. It was just ready to be revealed to the House. Jesuitical phrases like normal deposits don't really stand up here, Taoiseach. If you look at the prospectus alone, it's very clear. They were offered 100% capital security at maturity through an 8-year, 3-month fixed-term deposit facility. There was never any indication that they would be burned as a result of any action by government. I find it extraordinary, Taoiseach, that you're saying that prior to in the drafting legislation, there must have been people going through the implications of the legislation. Who does it impact upon? It wasn't a secret for anyone in the Department of Finance, NTMA or anywhere else, that the credit unions had deposits with Anglo and IBRC. And surely the implications of the liquidation would have been spelled out to you.
Thank you.
Before you brought it to the House with the Minister. I find it incredible that you're saying you're not aware of this. This is a very serious situation for the credit unions concerned. I mean, the credit union movement, it's the chatter around the credit union movement. They're talking about 17 million as an estimate. It might be higher, it might be lower. And I asked you initially were you aware, you're saying you're not, which I find incredible. What do you intend to do, Taoiseach, to support the credit union movement as a result of this very significant hit?
Thank you.
Because bank bondholders, senior bondholders were protected, and now we are finding ourselves in a credible position where credit unions have been burned essentially. And I think that at this stage,
Thanks, Deputy.
the question arises as to what can government do to protect and underpin the credit unions concerned.
Well, obviously the government responded and listened carefully to the credit union inquiries and anxieties arising from the report into the future of credit unions. Deputy Martin is aware that this was a liquidation. Therefore, you weren't going to have government going around saying we intend to liquidate IBRC. If you have money in there, take it out. I think it's important to note that while there were comments and some allegations of these reports, it's important to understand that I'm not aware, as we stand here today, on the full extent of liability of any credit union or numbers of credit unions for monies lodged in IBRC. That will emerge obviously during the course of the next period ahead, Deputy Martin. The liquidator is entitled to analyse what exactly the situation is in the liquidated IBRC, and you are aware that there is a fund of 500 million available for the recapitalisation of credit unions if they're in trouble. So I think the first thing that we should do, Deputy Martin, is have the liquidator determine what, if any, is the extent of credit union investment in IBRC, what deposits, if any, the credit unions have made in there, to what extent those deposits amount to, and if there is a serious situation here, as you allege, and we do not know the full extent of that, then clearly, Deputy Martin, the fund of 500 million that's there for dealing with difficulties with credit unions may be called into play.
Thank you.